You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Hey there, thanks for listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So, as you know, this month we have been talking about 3 areas that are likely causing you stress and how you can think about them differently. So, we talked about scheduling and organization, and today I want to talk to you about data collection. So, if you've been listening to any episodes previously, I mentioned data here and there, but I haven't really done like a deep dive on it. So, I'm really excited for these next couple episodes where I can share with you some more about how data collection has saved me a lot of stress and how I've put some systems into place after learning from some mistakes I've made and trial and error early on. I now have systems in place that have really transformed my counseling program through data collection, and I'm very excited to share them with you. Data collection sounds boring, but it doesn't have to be. It's like really fun and powerful once you use it in a cool way. So I hope you're as excited about it as I clearly am. And if you missed those episodes on scheduling or organization, go ahead and go back and listen to them. I hope that they were helpful for many of you. Okay, so let's dive in. Data collection is a struggle for many of us. I know it was for me, and I know it is for many of you because you told me this. So, whether you've been counseling for years or if you're brand new, data collection is hard. It is not something they teach us in grad school. It's not something, I don't really know how you're expected to learn it. I guess you're not really expected to, but it can bring that extra edge to your counseling program. So, a lot of people don't know where to start, right? Or they're not sure where to track it, or even if you are tracking data, you don't even know how to use it or what you're supposed to be tracking it for. So I want to talk to you about all of those things and a few personal stories of mine I like to tie in to kind of share with you. For a long time, I saw the value in assessing if the students, understood what we were doing as a group, and I would do like a self-assessment at the end of a group. But I would never do a self-assessment at the beginning of a group, and that was a huge problem because how am I supposed to measure progress if I only have like the post-test results and not the pre-test results? So that was something I learned early on. Like, well, that was cool that they're at 4 out of 5 know how to do this, but what were they before? Were they 1 out of 5 or were they 5 out of 5? And now they're doing worse. Like, who knows? Because I wasn't tracking it. So that was something. And then earlier in an episode, I don't even know which episode this was. Maybe the advocating one. It's been a while. But I was talking about doing puzzles with students and how a lot of times I'll just do puzzles with kids and individual sessions to really get them talking. But then someone walks by and they're like, oh, the counselor, all she ever does is play with the kids. They don't ever do anything. And that can be disheartening that people don't understand the powerfulness of your role and how you're impacting students. So data is the solution. If you have data to show, like, yeah, you might have saw us doing a puzzle. That is something we do. None of your business, really. But look at these gains that the student has made, or look at this area that we've seen improvement in since we've been meeting. Data can back you up. The numbers can back you up. So I want you to think about how great would it be to have tools for collecting data. So this is the what, right? Like, what do you need for data collection? So pre and post student self-assessments are a great tool to have. You can use these before or after individual sessions and before and after groups, especially. Parent-teacher surveys are a great thing to have. So send out parent-teacher surveys to collect their opinions on how a student is doing before and after the group. Maybe a mid-range check-in too would be nice. This way you can assess what's working, what's not. And that is something I want to say. I keep saying like to assess improvement, but sometimes things aren't improving, and that is okay. That's equally important information to gain, right? If things aren't improving or if a student is not progressing, we also want to document this. That way we can change it. We don't want to waste weeks doing the same thing if it's not working. Different students learn in different ways, so we want to modify our counseling services to fit their needs. So you're doing a disservice to the students by not collecting data to find out how to best serve them. Okay, and then a behavior progress monitoring chart. So how a student's behavior has changed over the course that you've been seeing them counseling. That's another great tool for tracking data. And finally, an end of the year report. So I love end of the year reports. If you've spent any time on my blog, I write about them a lot. It's something I did my first year counseling. I think I saw one on Pinterest or something, and I was like, wow, that's a good idea. And I adapted it to be my own. And it's a game changer. It's been a really great way for me to advocate for myself and to communicate the quality of my counseling program and to assess what needs to change each year. And it's actually one of my favorite parts of the year. It's never a requirement or expected of me. It's just something I do, but I really love it. And I've taught a lot of other counselors how to do it, and it's really made a difference in their programs as well. Okay, so that was the what of data collection, the tools, the literal things you're using to collect the data. Now, the why. Why data collection? Well, recognition and advocating for your role. So, again, many of you, counselors in general, aren't really getting the recognition they deserve, right? You're misunderstood. You may feel like you're on your own island on campus. So, by collecting data, you can get the recognition you deserve because you're showing the numbers, you're showing the literal impact that you're having. This is like the best way to get recognition. You're doing so much that people will think, wow, she really is irreplaceable. And that's something you want them to think when it comes time to look at the budget and review who's sticking around next year, right? I keep talking about recognition, and I don't want you all to think it's something prideful, like, oh, look at what a great job I'm doing. I'm trying to pat myself on the back over here. No, it's like almost a appreciation, if you will, more than recognition. Like we have a teacher appreciation week and a counselor appreciation week. This is a way for you to really showcase not just your own. You're not really being self-serving or like conceited by saying how your program is awesome, but perhaps you're working with other counselors or just school counselors in general. Like this is your time to shine for our community as a whole. So that's what I mean when I'm always talking about getting the recognition that you deserve and advocating for yourself. And the student results validate why missing instructional time is important. So teachers, like a lot of times they're reluctant to have their kids leave instructional time to come see you, especially because many times these students who are struggling with social emotional needs are also struggling academically. A lot of times it's the same kiddos, right? And so they do need to be in class. That's why they're at school, but they also really need these social emotional needs met because how are they supposed to do well in school if they're not, if their social emotional needs aren't met? So it's like a Maslow over Bloom, am I right? But anyways, the teachers need to see, like, you need to show them why what you're doing is worth them missing the time or why it will help them in turn in their academics. Same with parents. Like, well, I don't know about her seeing the counselor. You already have that stigma going for you. So we need to show the parents the results, tangible results through numbers and through data collection. And finally, advocating for your position. So data collection accomplishes two things. You can easily show impact through the services that you've provided, and that's the need for your position, right? You're showing all of these great services that you provided. And the second thing is you can show improvement in student growth, in turn, a need for your position. So you're showing why your position is valuable through those two ways, by showing the services you provided and showing the improvement in student growth that the students have made since they've been seeing you. Okay, so the takeaway from this episode, likely you are already collecting data and you don't realize it. So that's a sigh of relief because this is airing in December and you're probably thinking, was I supposed to be doing these things since August? Because I'm not doing any of those tools that she mentioned before. And that is okay. It is never too late to start collecting data, so don't beat yourself up about it. This is totally a normal thing. But I do think you are already collecting it and you just aren't realizing that's what it is, perhaps. So I want you to assess anything that you're collecting right now. So think about any assessments you're doing, evaluations, surveys you've sent out, and then kind of organize it all together. Organize, like the last episode. See what I did there? You want to organize it all together, put it in one place, and then in our next episode, I'm going to show you some actionable strategies that you can use with this data. Again, I want you to think about the data that you're likely already collecting, put it all in one place, and I want you to go download that stress-free school counseling freebie. So I have this awesome freebie for you. I've mentioned it in the past episodes, but it specifically has an area for stress-free data collection, tips, and tools. So I want you to download it. It has a scheduling portion, an organization portion, and the third part, it has a stress-free data collection portion, which I hope you find immensely helpful. That's why I created it for you. So go ahead and download it. To get that freebie, it will be in the show notes, or you can send me a message or an email asking for it, and I'll simply send you the link. Alrighty, I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.